All right, guys. Once again, I'm doing one of these Fisherman Tales spotlights for comicbookinvest.com. This time I tracked him down. I had to harass him quite a bit, but this is Joseph Schmalke.
Yeah.
Schmalke, who is taking the indie comic cover world and comic book world by storm this past year. If you haven't seen his name pop up on a book, you're not reading the right books, because he's done some variants for something that's killing the children that are ridiculous now. He's just released Murder Hobo, Phantom Starkiller. His Electric Black books are picking up steam, and they're great covers. And we're just going to talk to him about just everything. So, Joseph, I ordered one of your boxes, your Etsy boxes that you do, and you sent me one.
Booth in a box. Yeah. What'd you get?
I got Infernal Pact and Cherry Blackbird. I was blown away. I was by all the different stuff that you had in them, and these are
those are part of like a world that I've been building for a couple of years. There's supposed to be 7 books in total that I want to put out for that. Yeah,
I was quite like it was a little shocking. I was like, "Whoa! How did you manage to draw this gruesome of a thing?" And especially Infernal Pact, I was not quite ready for some of the images, just because that's not my. But I read it, I was like, this is actually really good. And I can also see your growth as an artist while doing it. Like
Infernal Pact is weird because I did the whole thing with a scratchboard technique. So it doesn't even look like my artwork really. And I actually got accused at HeroCon a couple of years ago. The guy said that I couldn't be the same artist in both books. And I was like, well, dude, it's not drawn, it's etched in.
So did you use black paper and then scratch it out, or?
So the whole thing's done. I drew really rough pencils, would scan those in, and then I would create a black sheet in Photoshop and then use an eraser tool to chip away, and it creates that same effect, you know?
I used to, when I taught art lessons, whatever, you'd basically take black paint over crayon. And you do this same thing, but like that's really, I didn't realize. Now looking at them, like, oh, that's exactly what that is.
And
but I didn't know
wood
that.
cutty type feel for it. At the time, I was studying a lot of Goya, his black paintings. So I was going for this like dark, chunky thing. And I mean, I did it all in sequence. So. The first page was the first page that I did. The last page is the last page I did. And I didn't hop around in the book. So you can tell by the end, I got pretty good at it.
Yeah.
But the opening, there's some rough stuff in there. Like yeah.
Sorry, I'm flipping through it right now going, I can see how you played with, you get your line work got a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I figured out the technique. The thing is that I don't think I'd ever do a book like that again. But it was fun doing it, you know, and that's the thing about self-publishing. Before I was working with Scout and everything, like that was my only real way to put out a comic book, was to self-publish. And so I've done 3 books that were started off self-published. The first one was Calamitous Black Devils, and if you can't find copies of it anymore, it's like out of print. But after I did the first 2 issues of that, this small publisher called Broken Icon, they're still around. They're still putting out stuff. They picked it up, and I put out a full graphic novel, which was available for like 5 years or so, that you could pick it up. But now it's, you know, my contract has lapsed with them. We're no longer making that book. So good luck trying to find it. And that's a really tough one to read and like look at, because the artwork is super bad.
And was that black and white as well? Is that, I saw
it's full color. It's in full. The issues were all black and white.
Okay, I pulled up your Kickstarter, and like that's the great thing. Kickstarter, it lives in infamy, so I can go back and see your initial videos of you trying to sell your Kickstarter issue for Calamitous. And so like the black and white, and I was just curious. I was like, okay, I can see the beginnings of what you've now this year. I can definitely see. I love your style this year.
Thanks. Yeah. So that's where I was starting off from. And then I made Infernal Pact, and then I made Cherry Blackbird. And after Cherry Blackbird, I had pitched that book actually to Scout, but they passed on it at the time because of the subject matter was too
dark,
raunchy, I guess. And so they passed on that, but they were like, you know, if you have a future project, you know, let us know. And at the time, Rich Woodall, who's my my partner, we're the co-publishers of Black Caravan. So our whole imprint is horror and sci-fi. We do collectibles, and we're doing some really interesting stuff coming up this year in particular. But yeah, me and him started collaborating, and initially Electric Black was supposed to be the third book in that series that we're talking about. And the Black Hen, who's that goat-headed demon from Infernal Pact and Cherry Blackbird, he was going to be Julius Black. He was going to be the guy running the store. But because I was working with Rich and we really wanted to collaborate on something together, I took that character out of it. We redeveloped, made a new character, and that became Julius Black together. And then he developed Jack, and I developed Junebug, and then Roy, just to flesh it all out. I believe the original idea for Roy was all Rich at that point. And then we brought on some other characters like Erebus and the Yellow Stranger and stuff like that.
And the way I have only read halfway through Electric Black, but the way it reads is you guys are alternating, telling us like you have the real world story, then the flashback story, or not maybe flashback.
Well, it's a shop that exists outside of time and space, and all the objects inside of it have stories. And initially, when we pitched it to Scout, it was a horror anthology, right? But then we were like, man, no, the main story is what's really cool about it. So we kind of ditched. You'll see in issue 3, there's almost, I
haven't made it that far. I've read the first 2. I'm like, they're on a ship and Woodall's drawn in, and then there's your version of whatever, and then that's where I stopped reading. I've been cramming, trying to read through all your books, which is hard to read through them all. Since I got the box last week, so.
But yeah, so that got picked up by Scout, and at the time, it was the biggest selling book that Scout had ever produced. Yeah. And then. Which led to, and then when we were doing, because we were doing it quarterly, our sales didn't really drop off. Yeah. That became sort of the leaping off grounds for what Scout's currently doing, which is you put out issue 1 and then you wait 2 months and then the rest of the series comes out, because they found that, people were excited about Electric Black 1. Then they wanted issue 2, but they weren't going to miss it because, basically by the time we were putting out issue 1, you could order issue 2. Yeah. So
I love that Scout strategy. And then, I don't know if this was your idea or Scout's idea, but then you did this with it too, your Cursed edition.
That was me and Rich. So the original idea, the original concept that we had for Electric Black was it was going to be magazine sized, and we were talked out of it because they're like, nobody buys magazines. And then of course DC put out, the black label. We're like, guys, come on, there's still room for this. People are into magazine size. So we developed this new brand, Scout Prestige, which is now they've done one for Solar Flare as well as Electric Black, and there's a third one coming out soon too. I forget which title it is for, but it's going to be a continuing thing that they're going to keep making these magazine formatted size books. So that'll be cool. And then, last year I ended up getting in cahoots with a couple of shops that like really are interested in my style.
Black Cape and Toss. Were those the 2 big ones?
Mostly One Stop Shop. The owner there, like he knows what I'm good at. And so if he sees a title that he thinks I'm right for, he goes and hunts it down. And then I end up doing a cover for it. And while we were working on issue 3 of Electric Black, the president at Scout, saw me and Rich's hustle and approached us about doing our own imprint. So that's where Black Caravan came from. And one of the first titles that I brought to the table was Phantom Starkiller. I'm friends with Peter Gorel. He's one of my closest buddies.
He's a rabid fan base for his toys. Good night.
Oh man. Well, that's how it started with me. Was I was a fan of Phantom Starkiller first. Yeah. And then I started. I wasn't looking for anything. I just kind of drew some pictures of Phantom Starkiller and Draco Knuckle Duster, and Peter was like, "Dude, these are awesome. How would you like to do card art with me? For one of my figures?" So he gave me this character, Vice Admiral Acker, and me and him, went back and forth, how it was going to look and everything. And he showed me the figure and everything. And at that time, he had just signed his deal with Super 7.
Mm.
So as soon as I was done with the card art for Vice Admiral Acker and Supreme Ruler Thubian, which are all part of the Starkiller universe, he reached out. He's like, hey, I don't know if you got time, but I need a new piece of card art, and it needs to be done by tomorrow or something. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And that ended up being the first piece of card art that I did for Super 7. And it was for it's like the rarest of all the Starkiller figures. It's the glow in the dark.
Is it the Japanese writing on or no?
No, that's the Blackout Banshee. I've done a couple of pieces of card art for him.
Okay.
So, that's the Blackout Banshee version, which that same art is on the Facebook fan page. That's the Facebook fan page edition of Phantom Starkiller as well. But it's the full color version of it rather than just the black and white version of it. That's it. That's the same art.
Okay.
The exact same art.
As you can see, I have become a fan.
Yeah. But, Peter is he's kind of a genius when it comes down to toy making and stuff. He's got a real eye and flair for this stuff. And it's cool that he lets me so Starkiller and Knuckle Duster and all this stuff, these are all his creations. And basically, I started looking at the back of the card art and I'm like, oh, you got this whole universe sort of plotted out here.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. And, he's given me content dumps over time where it's a bunch of his ideas and stuff. And so now it's become a collaborative process between the two of us. He generally lays out a story or has these ideas, these moments that he wants to represent in the comic book. And I helped him script it out and lay it out. And then, he peppers it up at the end and adds his flares to it, adding the bits of dialogue that are really part of world building for his properties, which are the whole Starkiller universe is called Curse of the Cryptocrystalline Stone.
That's something you cannot say fast.
No, but it's a really cool, it's a cool concept. I knew it was when I first saw it.
Yeah.
And I was happy that he decided to let us, make his books. So
I know you believed in what you're doing, but did you expect that to blow up for Scout and as a comic to take off like it did? I mean, it's one of these things where you work and you expect maybe something will happen out of it. But you can never tell. Yeah.
You just don't know what's going to strike people's fancy. I was a fan of Starkiller and I knew that was going to be a hit. And I think that really helped propel our brand.
Yeah.
But Electric Black was one of those things that was like lightning in a bottle. We didn't know what we had, and all of a sudden, people were really into it. And we've got other stuff coming down the pike too that we think people are going to be into, but you never know. It's like people think it sucks, and you just
and that has I do appreciate getting to see your growth, because I love getting the box, because then I'm like, okay, this is you growing as an artist and as a writer, but you're not leaving behind who you are. But then you jump in and do Phantom Starkiller. It's still your same style, but it's a different world. You get to play in that. When Phantom Starkiller was coming out, I started hearing the buzz, and I don't know where I was hearing it, but he was building this buzz before it came out. And some of it's because you've developed a following on Instagram and Facebook, and he's Killer Bootlegs, but Peter's developed a following on Instagram, and you guys do an amazing job of dropping hints and dropping little teasers. And then if someone likes it, you do a good job of liking what they like and reposting it so that your fans become more emboldened to post and celebrate you. I mean, I love it. What Tuesday you guys announced that the
Legendary Edition.
Legendary Edition.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's Rich's baby. This is part of the plan for Black Caravan. Is Rich has got a lot of big ideas. He's one of the most passionate guys when it comes down to comic books. He really loves the craft, and one of his favorite things are those big art editions of Jack Kirby and Barry Windsor Smith and stuff like that. If he can get a hold of one of those, that's what he wants. So with the success of Starkiller, he was like, can we, because all my pages are done at 11 by 17.
Mm.
He's like, can we just make a book that size? And I've already done a couple of art edition books at that size, and people seem to like them. Of course, they're awkward as hell on like a bookshelf, but it's impressive. It's a coffee table book, basically. So what this edition is going to be is it's all black and white. It'll have the dialogue in it, but none of the color work, and it's only 24 pages, so all the ads and stuff like that are ripped out. So it's really just the story is what you're getting. 100 copies of it, I think, are going to come with a specialized book plate signed by me and Peter.
Okay.
So that will all be through like Scout directly.
Okay.
You'll be able to get the one.
Are you going to have any like write up of like the background behind the story, or is that?
So one of the things that we're planning on doing with the series is I'm currently, like, Peter's tossed off his portion of the script to me, so I'm helping put together Knuckle Duster as we speak.
Yeah.
I think we'll be done with the script by the end of the month, but there's 4 characters that we're going to do these sort of like individual stories for, but all 4 of those stories are all interconnected.
Okay.
So it's Knuckle Duster is going to start right where Phantom Starkiller ended.
Okay.
Knuckle Dust, and after we do Count Draco Knuckle Duster #1, we're doing Vice Admiral Acker #1. And that's going to take place right after Knuckle Duster ends, and then the last one is Supreme Ruler Thubian.
Okay.
Will take place after Acker. So after those 4 issues come out, there will be, the idea is to make a regular series.
Okay.
First, we have to establish this strong base that we can build from.
That's an interesting approaching it from 4 different characters first, and then going into a series is just different than usually it's either one character and then you just branch off from their story into these others. But I like the idea and just how you're going to have Knuckle Duster's story as the continued chase and the pursuit's going to be happening, and that's just a different way. I like the approach of that. Is it going to be?
Is that, we come at that particular property in a way of, we want to develop figures for this. That's what Peter is at his base. He is a toy maker.
Yeah.
So every one of these characters that you see appear first in the comic book is going to be an action figure or some sort of toy later on.
Okay.
And so we want to treat it all with with that in mind. Is that, like, it's almost like we're reverse creating Masters of the Universe or something. Where you're seeing sometimes in the comic,
which it's of course who everyone refer when they look at Phantom Starkiller, they go, that's Skeletor combined with a Jedi. When you first see the image. Now when you read it, you're like, okay, no, but it's like just the first images, that's what you pops into your head.
Well, we're kids of the 80s, we grew up on this stuff. This is the stuff we love, and it's just not really there anymore, that nostalgic The Mandalorian's a great show like that, but like He-Man and G.I. Joe and stuff like that, it's not the same as it used to be. So, and those are older properties. There's nothing new there. So we're trying to bring a bit of that nostalgia back,
while not recreating it, but making your own space. I like that.
Yeah.
So, man, go ahead.
But with Black Caravan, we the other part of it is I'm not just a creator and an artist, but I'm putting out content that I think is cool as well. Yeah. I'm a horror and sci-fi based guy. So we have some titles. There's one that just came out, I think, The Shepherd.
It just came out this past week. I've seen the variants. I haven't gotten it yet. But.
It's super dark. It originally came out through Caliber, which is the same company that put out The Crow.
Yeah.
And so that's Andrea Molinari. That's his book. Him and his son, they co-create The Shepherd. And then we have next month we have a book coming out that was like something that I picked up right away. It's called Black Friday, and
that cover's messed up. The first cover of that, wow.
It's a perfect 3-act play. It's like you get introduced to all the characters, and by the end of Act 1, there's here come the things, here come the demons, and then issue 2 is an absolute bloodbath. I love the ending of this book. It's already done. We're just, we're putting it out like we would normally. But I've already read the whole series. John Clark's an amazing creator. I can't wait to see his future stuff. So that's one of the things we have coming up. Then we have Christian Dabari, Kieran Tagan, and Simon Go are a team that have been working on a couple of projects. We have Provenance of Madness.
Yeah, I think you sent me the ash can of that in that box.
Yeah.
I love that look. It has the look of it. The name remind me of like a Poe book or something.
Well, it's H.P. Lovecraft inspired stories. One of the cooler things about this horror comic, there's not a drop of blood in this. It's all about madness.
Oh,
it's all about madness. So it's it should be okay for a 13-year-old to pick this one up if you're a parent that's like really opposed to super violence or something. There's monsters in it.
Yeah,
lots of monsters. And then they have a series, so they have that coming out next month with us. There's 2 different versions of the graphic novel. One is done by a famous sculptor, and I forget the guy's name, so I apologize. But the other cover is done by Christian Dabari, and I think both covers are equally cool.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe collectors want to pick up both. I don't know. And then we've got after that, the same team is coming out with a new series in June called Tales Told in Techno Horror, and that is a true horror anthology. It's a bunch of like 6 to 10 page stories every issue. It's
one of those. I'm realizing more and more. There's an entire world of comic book fans that could care less about superheroes, and they don't care at all. They want to see these violent stories. They want to see their horror movies because they watch the really bad C level horror movies, and they want to read comics that take them to that place. Not to say the comics are bad, but just that sort of that gore and gruesome, and they didn't want to see it drawn out because and for a long time you had to go find an old issue of not Fangoria. What's the name of the magazine? Skulls from the 70s or creepy magazines to find some of it. But man, you guys are with your label, you're doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm a huge fan of Bernie Wrightson. He's one of my major influences. Of course, Mignola's run on Hellboy is amazing. That's where I always tended to veer towards, and I love Tales from the Crypt. When they were doing the reissues of it and stuff like that, I'd always pick one up.
Well, of course, and then when I see Electric Black, that's who the first initial, the Tales from the Crypt Keeper, the Julius Black character. That's where in my mind I was like, okay, that's sort of where he's going. I mean,
and we have big news coming up for that. So if you're smart and you're watching this, you'll be picking up Electric Black stuff before those comic books become ridiculously expensive. Yeah. I can't tell you what it is. As soon as we are done signing the paperwork,
yes,
I can tell you all about it.
Well, and it's the way it started out. Now, granted, I've only read the first 3. The way, or 2, I haven't read the way it is. It does lend itself towards being serialized. It easily can be taken into something. I mean, shoot,
we can actually talk about what we're doing with it because it is going to have a larger market out there at some point. I think everybody's going to be like, "Holy crap!" It's pretty cool what we're going to be doing with it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then Murder Hobo, we have signed already. That's with he used to be one of the head execs at Sony. His name's John Hayden. So that is being pitched around Hollywood right now.
And that's Jason Lynch, right? Because we talked about him earlier. Your co-habitant.
He's going to be the other guy moving into this studio soon.
Where'd I put that issue?
All this space will probably be Jason Lynch territory.
But Murder Hobos, I've read through it. I love the concept that you have of let's take a guy and make him travel through Warcraft or something, or Dungeons and Dragon World.
Yeah, very role playing. So me and Jason are like, me and his connection is we play World of Warcraft together like all the time, but we're also into Dungeons and Dragons and all this other RPG stuff. So we smoked a lot of pot and we came up with this idea. Well, first I pitched it to him because I don't want to draw this. I want it to look cartoony.
Yeah.
Jason has an awesome style. So I was like, do you want to draw this thing? And he was like, yeah. So we teamed up and he does all the character designs. he's sort of my sounding board for all the jokes, because if he doesn't laugh, it's probably not funny. He does think he's incredibly funny, but his jokes are sometimes like, nobody's going to get that except for you type thing.
It's so far deep down the Dungeons and Dragon hole that you're like
a tapped guy. But yeah, he's a genius designer.
I don't have it here.
Yes. So issue 1, Broken, Beaten, and Buggered is all illustrated by him. The next issue coming out, which came out in December, which some people have, some people don't. It's called All In at the Dragon Shaft.
Yeah, I saw that one come up.
He did most of the art for that.
Yeah.
But he's incredibly slow. So I had to rewrite part of the script, and I drew a portion of that book. And then
how did I need to go get it just strictly to see your style going into his style?
Yeah, well, I don't draw it cartoony. What I did is go read the book, and you'll see why.
I'm assuming it's like I'm gonna have to go get it.
But we've teamed up now with Ryan G. Brown. He's an amazing illustrator who we've become, we've had a good working relationship with him. He did that cover that you were just showing.
Oh, okay.
Jason colored it, but that's Ryan G. Brown's art.
Okay.
Is going to be the main artist on the upcoming series.
Okay.
So the upcoming series is called Murder Hobo Chaotic Neutral. Ryan G. Brown will be doing 2 stories in every issue. We have Steve Levine from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fame. He's doing a story in every issue. And then we have Steve Mardo. He'll be doing a short story in every issue. And all the stories are about 6 pages long.
Okay.
With Jason doing, I think you see him in Broken, Beaten, and Buggered. We have these fake ads and stuff, Ad Goblin.
I really love the end of this one has one. I'm like, oh yeah. Renato Jones did that. You had those Carrie Andrews when he did his book, Renato Jones had those in there. Let's see, here's one.
Yeah. The blogger.
Yeah. The Ad Goblin gaseous pits of molten reaches.
Yeah. So Jason's going to continue to make stuff like that for the Murder Hobo books, and then he does all the coloring, and he's going to be the regular letterer.
Oh wow! So he's still very involved, just not doing the initial.
Yeah, and all of the concepts, all the original designs and stuff are made by Jason.
Okay.
So even though Ryan's going to be the artist, sort of taking the reins on the larger part of the books, him and Jason are sort of like copacetic, working together. What's going on? Because one of the things is the book is incredibly filthy. And so Jason keeps putting in little details, like there's these fairies that are always humping, but they're staring at you. That's like Jason's thing. He's like, they got to be looking at the viewer. They got to be making the viewer feeling uncomfortable about what they're watching.
So don't read this with kids.
No, and it says it right on the cover. It's 18+ mature readers only. So
it does. It says it right there, right under the price. It is 18+.
And then Cherry Blackbird. I don't know if you saw this.
You're releasing it as issues now?
That's how it was initially intended. If you look at it, about every 22 to 24 pages, there's a natural break in the story.
Yeah, you say chapter 3 or chapter.
Yeah,
as they go after the next character.
Track 1, track 2, track 3.
There.
But I'm happy to put it out this way. I've already got the covers for it because I had some really talented guys work with me on it. I got Ben Bishop did a cover, Rich Woodall, J.K. Woodward. So
you have those in the back of this book. The covers you can see. Yeah. Oh, there's some gorgeous. They're gorgeous covers in the back of there.
Yeah. So now the world gets to actually see those. And part of that too is that I feel like that grindhouse horror world that I've created has legs and would be like a cool movie or something. I don't know. No. And Scout's very into doing the multimedia thing. James wanted to pick it up, so he's like, just re-release the book because not a lot of people saw it. It was pretty much my Kickstarter backers. Yeah. And that's it. So hopefully people enjoy it.
The second you posted that, people went crazy. Like, it's coming out, and when I saw the Instagram, they're all excited about it's a beautiful cover, and I'm sure anyone that's gotten it, after I seen it, I was like, okay, I need to go read this book, and it's great. I mean, I like that better than Infernal Pack. For as far as reading, I like Cherry Blackbird as a character, and then I love her band basically. Even though I know they're in the other one, but
yeah. And then my newest book coming up is called We Don't Kill Spiders.
I saw the Ashcan is gorgeous. I'm not sure if that's going to be the main cover.
Yeah, I start selling it this weekend through my site. It will be a Black Caravan book that comes out in July.
So as a Black Caravan, is that through Scout distributing?
Yeah, it's our imprint. It's me and Rich's imprint. So, but I'm doing everything on it, like I did with Cherry Blackbird and Infernal Pact, where it's a faithless Viking detective and a necromantic witch are hunting down a serial murderer.
Wow, that's sort of an interesting combination you got there.
Yeah. It's like very, it's set in the early 400 AD, like Scandinavia, and so it's got a rich environmental look to it, and no cell phones or guns. It's swords and sorcery type stuff, which is what I love.
And you do the colors for that as well. Is that what you said?
I color everything. I use a flatter for most of the interior pages, but not for my covers. I pretty much just do everything myself on the covers, but interiors, just to make it go along faster, I do hire a flatter, and her name is Jewel. Jewel Christoffen.
But I've
pronounced her last name.
I've talked to. I realized as I've gone through, as becoming a comic book fan and starting to talk to artists and writers and things. Like I reached out and we interviewed Lee Lowridge, whose color style is very similar to what you end up doing. It's flattering, like that. I love the color choices you make. Like I love it's very dark lines and then very not pastel or not neon. It's that color palette in between.
It's Halloween.
Yeah.
Colors or like 80s colors is usually what I go to. 80s like arcade. If you look at Pac-Man, the arcade boxes and stuff, I kind of like those colors a lot. So there are lots of bright neon blues, pinks, yellow.
I'm drawn to that. Like that's what Lee Lowridge did Deadly Class. So like he colored that. So like that color set, that palette is what I love. I love when I see that. And so I'm drawn into you're Something Killing the Children 2 variants that you did 1 and 2, which are ridiculous. That's the color palette you chose. And of course it took 5 months, but then all of a sudden that book blew up and
it was crazy, man. I couldn't move those things when I first got them. Like I was like, is anybody interested in this? I'm like, it's a really good story. And everybody, I'm like, all right.
and then the pandemic hit and everyone went, wait, a hot girl wearing a mask? Yes, that's what I want.
Erica Slaughter is a complete badass. I love that book. It's a really great indie comic. I think it's solid storytelling, and the interior art is awesome. I like everything about it. It's pretty much a flawless book at this point.
There's one other one that you did that I love. I had to buy it. Was your where did I put it? Cold Dead Hands. You did the cover for Garrett's book. Yeah. Where is it? That cover is just ridiculous.
I over a couple of concepts for that, and of course, it's one of these ones where I kind of, I like to send over like 2 to 3 concepts or whatever when I'm doing. Did you get the metal cover?
I did track down a metal cover. That thing's gorgeous.
Yeah, I was like, the magic moment of this book is that the hands are kind of like sentient, right? And everybody else was drawing guns and stuff.
Yeah.
But really, it's the hands are, So that's what my cover was.
No, it's definitely I was so excited about the cover. Then the interior art wasn't my style. So I was like, oh man, Smokey's cover, but that's all he did was the cover. I wish there was more of you in that story. But it was great.
I appreciate it.
I love Garrett's writing. Like I love I forgot Franklin and Ghost. I've got all those as well.
Yeah, the Source Point guys are all like really cool. Yeah. Great, right? I only really know the writers over there. So it's like Garrett, Frank Gogol, and Ben Goldsmith.
Oh yeah, because you did No Heroine cover.
Guys. So
that's probably your brightest cover too, with yellow in the background.
yeah. But I've done a couple of books with that group, and I like Source Point. They do the subject matter that I think is cool too.
Yeah. So
I'm just at a different publisher. That's all.
But man, I'm excited. That's so cool to me to think. I didn't realize that Cherry Blackbird and Infernal Pact and Electric, all this interwovenness that you're trying to build, and then
those books are totally not connected to Electric Black. No. Like I said, me and Rich wanted to create something new together.
Okay.
The original intention was Electric Black was going to be my third book in the series.
Okay. So, but then you also have Electric Black Presents coming out.
It's out. Issues 1 and 2 are both out, and what those are origin tales of some of the main characters of the Electric Black. So, like I said, me and Rich have like taken turns developing characters. We did a Kickstarter for Electric Black Presents for the first 2 issues because we wanted to bring on some other artists, some bigger name artists that we loved their styles, and of course that costs money that we're not millionaires yet. So we got Paul Pelletier, who's
I saw that name. I was like, wait, that's a bigger name than.
He actually lives up here. You know, I have him over for cookouts and stuff. Back when we could do that. And then we got Carl Moline, who was the co-creator of Frey, which is part of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer universe, and Joss Whedon created that character. And then he drew the Buffy series, which is what I think he's most well known for, but he's done a smattering of work for Dark Horse and Image, IDW. And then we got Christian Dabari, who's the artist of Provenance of Madness. He's done work for Magdalena. He's worked for Top Cow. He's awesome. He's one of my favorite horror artists out there. His stuff is just amazing. And then the last one was Walter Osley, who I just personally think he is one of the hardest working, most talented guys out there. He doesn't necessarily fall into the horror category all the time, but his style is so different and unique. And it's unfortunate that he's just doing webcomics this year, because I tried to get him to be the artist on an upcoming like Starkiller book, but he passed it by. He's doing his own thing. Ghost Bats is his current webcomic that he's putting out, but maybe next year I'll get him to do something else with us.
Or maybe he can just do a cover and then work his way in.
No, I think he's so busy, it's hard to even get him to do a cover at this point. So
well, I mean, especially very thankful for you joining me here, but man, you have your fingers in everything. I mean, I don't know. It's like I'm geeking out just strictly because I'm talking to a guy I didn't know you existed last year, and then I've fallen in love with your stuff.
Thanks, man.
Reading it. I mean, I don't mean that as an insult. It's just one of those things. Like a lot of times for you as artists and writers, like you need to have the book. I mean, you love the people that follow you, but you got to have some book that catches someone's eye. And for me, it was the Something's Killing the Children when it took off. And I didn't realize I had bought your cover before, not knowing it was you. I was lucky enough to have bought issue 2 and then gone, oh, wow, I got that cover because that's my favorite cover that came out.
I got pretty, it was a weird thing when Black Cake. So how that whole cover went down was we had a success with Electric Black issue 1. And then people wanted to get their own variants. And at the time, me and Rich were like super cagey about people getting variants from us. So they could only get me or Rich to do the variant. And Rich basically signed on to do all of Jetpack and Forbidden Planets variants.
Ooh, and those are the EC horror cover homages.
So he was doing those. So I got anybody else. And it was One Stop Shop and Black Cape both reached out and were like, hey, can we get variants? And we're like, yeah, but I have to do them. So that's your choice. And so I think they liked what I had made for both shops. And so that turned into, hey, there's this new book coming out. You want to take a crack at doing a cover for it. So Something is Killing the Children ended up being my first actual ended up being my first paid like variant gig.
Really? So because you went from there, you did Undiscovered Country, you did Wolf and Hearts. I like you sent me the box.
I lose track of like I've lost track of like the variants and stuff. I have one coming up that I haven't shown anybody yet. It's called Hollow Heart, and that's for Vault Comics. That's an awesome book. I read it. It's a genre that really hasn't been tapped into yet. It's gay horror. So once I read it and I saw what was going on with it, I really wanted to get in on the cover. So that'll be coming out, I think, in like a month or something like that. Okay. Again, I can't show it yet because it's a shop exclusive, but
that's always,
if you look it up, Hollow Heart is going to be a really cool book for people to show.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's always tricky. I've caught artists before as they have a book they know is coming out with the cover, but they have to wait on the shop to announce it, or they have to get. And like I was talking to David Nakayama, and he was like, it's coming out, and then he happened to be at the shop down the road from me, so I had to call the shop and go, can we release the image of the cover that you have coming out? Because he couldn't share it, so we went back and forth before the video.
I'll reach out to the store and see if it's cool, and if it is, I'll send you an image because I know this will be a couple of days before you.
Should be around Sundays usually when this comes out.
It'd be like a cool reveal for them.
That sounds. I just think it's cool. I love seeing your. And is it fun to do a cover just for a book, just for like not have to.
Everybody wants to do covers because it's not hard. I'll tell you what the hard work is, doing sequentials.
Yeah.
Sequential storytelling is tough. It's a whole art form in of itself. Doing pinups and covers and stuff is fun. Yeah, it's tons of fun.
How?
Because it can be very designy,
Have you been the artist only in a book where someone else did the writing? I mean, I know Phantom Starkiller, but
involved with thus far. So Phantom Starkiller, I help write that.
Yeah.
All future issues, it's going to say co-written by Joe Schmalke. It just wasn't in the initial print run. But yeah, so I help with that book. I help lay it out and like I break down the panels and stuff. So yeah, I guess I'm trying to. Yes, I have done. I've worked from other people's scripts.
Okay.
But the couple of pieces that I've done have never been released. So that'll change one day. I've toyed around with the idea of like making a book called Light of Day.
Yeah.
And the whole thing would be like unreleased stuff that I've done probably like 30 or 40 pages of sequentials that never saw the light of day.
Yeah.
I think I did something for Oxymoron. I did something that was supposed to be pitched to Alterna. Did one that was all based on cyberpunks. So
yeah, I could, because like I mean, as I've talked to you guys or whatever, like I've set out, and then of course everyone that loves comic books thinks, oh, I can do this, I can write, or I can do an illustration.
Yeah, you can't.
No, I've sat down. Okay, I have an idea for a story, and I start thinking it out. I'm like, wow, I can't draw this. I can't. I can't think through, or I can talk it, but I better have someone who has my same brain, or they're not going to convert what I'm writing because it's so either you have to be Bendis and you have to write every single little detail into a script, or you have to have complete trust in your artist, or you have to do like you're doing and do both, do it all.
Yeah, I mean, like Rich and I have taken turns drawing each other's scripts and stuff like that. He approaches things in a more broad method, which is like he writes a paragraph and he goes, "That's what you have to draw for 5 pages." This is what happens in those. So all these beats have to get hit, but I don't care. Just look interesting. I'm very specific. I'm like, this is what's happening on this page. Here's the dialogue. So that way, when I'm drawing it, I know how big the panel is supposed to be. So the word balloon is not chewing up. Sometimes if you look at my raw artwork too, you're like, man, there's a lot of space there, and I'm like, there's a lot of words. They're about to go there.
So if I buy the legendary edition of Phantom Starkiller, I'll see the big spaces.
No, because it's still got the dialogue in it.
Okay.
One of the things that you will miss is Peter did some really cool things with the coloring. He did like these wavy lines and stuff like that. Those won't be there. But one of the things that got lost was I used a lot of deleter tone.
Yeah.
All of that, actually, you'll be able to see it now.
Okay.
So I think people will get a different experience from it.
Yeah.
But it'll be equally cool, in my opinion.
Well, when you release a legendary edition or your cursed editions, you're not expecting to sell out hundreds of thousands of copies, or even
this is for people that really enjoy like different forms of the art that like collect, want to have a cool coffee table book of Phantom Starkiller.
I mean, the thing
is that me and Peter are always again thinking about ways in which we can package up toys and merchandise, stuff like that. And one of the things we're still working on, and we will get there eventually, is putting a Starkiller figure with a book. That'd
be pretty. I mean, yeah, that'd be sort of fun. Well, shoot, in your card backs that you design, like that might be a fun thing. If the card back is actually the comic, and you flip it open, and the last
that would be pretty cool. Yeah,
those last shoot. I think back to Star Wars just taking off, and the Star Wars comic book toys thing with the comic came in the toys. Some of those have gone up and they've become such collector's items because even though it's a comic that's already come out, because it comes inside the package and it has "do not sell" or something, it's worth hundreds of dollars because it comes with the toy. Like, I would love to have a Phantom Starkiller with the Phantom Starkiller toy, which, I mean, I don't even think you can find the original toys that he released. Now it's like, okay, it costs X amount.
Yeah,
I think he just released some Purple Haze version.
Starkiller from San Diego years ago. You don't even see that on eBay. I think he only made like 20 of those things.
Yeah.
And he did a re-release of those last year. And I have actually got the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, I paid for it, that is hard work what he does. Toy crafting, it chews up a ton of his time. But he loves doing it, So yeah, he does re-releases of his stuff. You gotta be like an eagle and like watch his page. He never just drops things and you don't know about it. He gives everybody like a 2 or 3 day heads up. He's like, set your alarms.
Hey, well, you did the same thing.
I missed it. And I'm like,
I'm opening up my shop on Friday at 10. If you want, I'll have stuff available to you. And then I'll close it on Sunday. This is your shot.
Well, that's one of the things I had to learn how to do this year was my personal store. I only open it one weekend every month. I usually tell everybody the week of it's going to be open, and then I close it because I don't want to spend
all
month packaging up stuff as orders slowly trickle in. So you get like a shot to buy stuff. I never open up the shop when there's not something new, and there's always something new right now. So this week it's We Don't Kill Spiders, ash cans. I've got second printings of Phantom Starkiller. I've got issue 12s of Something Is Killing the Children.
Yeah.
And I've got new art that'll be available for purchase as well.
That's really cool. Yeah, that second print sold out fast too. Like, I
didn't even know it was out.
Well, that's I was talking to James last week, and he was like, "Yeah, it's coming out Wednesday." I was like, "But Midtown didn't even have it. Like 3 or 4 stores didn't even have it listed." I was able to walk into 2 of my stores and find 1 copy at each store, and that was it.
That's crazy. We're doing a third printing. I'm pretty sure we are.
What's the color choice background? That one. You had purple, red. Purple.
For it, a whole new cover.
Oh wow!
It's by this artist Isaac Combs. He's a tattoo artist out of, I think it's San Diego, and it's pretty cool. You'll have to wait and see what it looks like.
Dang it! You're gonna make me buy the third print now.
And we just heard from this other tattoo artist. Here's the thing: Starkiller has this like crazy fan base that that Peter's been. That's all him. Yeah. But it seems like tattoo artists in particular are really drawn to the look of Starkiller. And this woman, I'm trying to remember what her name is. Her name's Jen. She does these stained glass sort of images. And I think her website is called smellslikecheese.com. Anyway, she's going to be doing some covers for us coming up. And one of them is for Phantom Starkiller. I don't know how we're going to put it out yet because I don't want people to get cover exhaustion from one book, Yeah. So maybe when we have like a big event or something, it'll be available for that event. Like San Diego, for example, would probably be a good time to put out like this.
It could be the release of the Knuckle Duster comes out with a.
Yes, well, Knuckle Duster will be coming out around the same time as San Diego, along with We Don't Kill Spiders and Rich Woodall's new book that he's doing with Mark Wessler. I said his name wrong. His artist. and it's going to be called Gods of Brutality.
Okay.
And it's a pretty awesome, fun book. It's this rock star, like a Dio type guy.
Yeah.
Overdoses, goes to hell, and then he prays to Odin and Zeus, and they send down Hercules and Thor to save him in hell.
That sounds like it could be a fun.
Yeah, it's awesome, and the ash can for that is available through Scout now.
Okay.
So if you're interested in checking that out, people,
yeah.
all Black Caravan all the time.
Oh yeah. All right, Joseph, thank you so much for joining me.